preserved my youth. Not only did it capture my goals, it told me the truth.
Conversate for a few, cause it a few.
I let them know we missing you. The love is unconditional.
Wave your hands, what's the land if we family?
We got a world premiere right here, now get lost.
So off we go, let the trumpets blow. And hold on, because the driver of the mission is a pro.
What's up, everybody? You are now in tune to another episode of Conversate with Us. Remember, Conversate stands for communicate, converse, and relate. Make sure you go to our YouTube, click that bell icon so you can be notified of our upcoming episodes, and tell a friend about the show. So, we are wrapping up 2025, about to head into 2026, and I have a very special guest that's going to help us get our act together going into the new year. Tiffany, where you at?
Hey.
So we got Tiffany Moore, owner, founder of More to Wellness. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good. All right. So tell me about More to Wellness. How did this venture of yours come to be?
So this came to be many, many years ago. I fought it. My friends were telling me I should be a life coach. And first I was like, what is a life coach? I have no idea what a life coach is. And this was back in like 1995. And then finally life coaching started becoming more popular. People started doing it. And I was like, oh, I think I could do this. 2019, I got certified in life coaching. 2022, I got certified in wellness coaching, health and wellness coaching. And then I launched More to Wellness at the end of 22 and started advertising in 2023. So here we are.
Okay. All right. So the life coach had to get coached into being a life coach.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. My friends would always say, you should be a life coach. And I'm like, yeah, no, thank you. Right. And look, I'm here. So
why did they say that you should be a life coach? Like, and what do you feel you bring to the table as a coach?
So one of the things is I'm always level-headed, right? So people would always come to me, ask for advice. How do I move forward? Because my whole life, I've really coached myself through life. I'm the oldest child. I'm the oldest cousin. And so I really didn't have a lot of people ahead of me to make that path. And so because I made that path for those behind me, people saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. I just thought it was me giving advice and then working it. So I've coached myself literally from the age of 13 to where I'm at today. And they saw that. So here I am.
So you were the oldest sibling and the oldest cousin.
Yes.
And not only were you the oldest sibling, but the oldest cousin, but you're the oldest girl. So that means you were bossing everybody around.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. I
just was talking to some friends and they had mentioned how there is an added pressure on being the oldest daughter. Like, the oldest son, he has responsibilities for the family or what have you, but there is a pressure on being the oldest daughter. Now, I know this doesn't have to really deal with wellness and coaching. I promise we're going to get back to that. But I talked to certain people, and there are even like help groups, like resource groups for people who are oldest daughters. Is that something that you encountered growing up?
Yeah. So being the oldest daughter, I don't know if I really saw it as a responsibility as more as it was just something I was supposed to do. Right. Yeah. My mother was a teenage mother, so I grew up with her. So a lot of you would call it mothering, but it was probably just coaching because at the time she was, 16 years old. She didn't know nothing about mothering. She just did what she knew to do. And I felt like growing up over the years, I was actually her daughter, but / her partner. I was making decisions with my mom, balancing checkbooks, figuring out how to budget at 11, right? So I think it's just one of those innate things that came to me.
Yeah. So when somebody reaches out to you and they say, hey, I need a life coach, what type of questions do you ask them? Like, is there a vetting process that they have to go through in order for you to accept them as a client?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So first thing I try to do is a 20 to 30-minute consultation, right? Because a lot of people want to think that life coaching is therapy. So therapy is about dealing with your past. Life coaching is about how do we move forward. So if they're coming to me, the first thing I'm going to ask them is, why do you think you need a life coach? If they start telling you back in, 2000, this was happening to me, nope, absolutely not, right? And so you just kind of dig deep, let them talk. And as they're talking, I'm doing the vetting process. I'm going to ask more probing questions on what they're saying to me. Not everybody is going to be a good fit. They may need a life coach. I might not be it for them. One of the things I do ask is, are you a person that needs to be coddled? If they need to be coddled, I'll help them with that. That's going to be hard for me because I'm not a coddler, right? I'm like, we just going to push through. We're going to get this going. We're going to do it. If they're telling me that they're hard headed and they need someone to hold them accountable, I'm your person, right? I'm going to be that person. I'm going to hold you accountable. We're going to accomplish your goals. What I will not do, though, is work on more than 3 goals at one time within a session. And when I mean session, I mean I do 3-month session or 6-month sessions. So we will not work on more than 3 in 3 months.
Okay.
It's just not feasible.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, because like myself, I
Mhm.
tend to multitask, but I feel like I'm also much, and I'm patting myself on the back. I'm much more driven and, organized and methodical when it comes to certain things. And I was just talking to one of my friends, and she won't mind because she talks about it all the time. There's this thing called ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences. And dealing with that, you have people who are dealing with different neurodivergencies, all different type of stuff, right? And one of the things that she talks about all the time is she's ADHD. So for me, who's very structured and methodical and trying to plan for every single contingency, when I work with her and she's literally all over the place, it stresses me out. And then when it's time for the final product, she just brings it on home. And she brings it home and like she knocks it out the park. And I'm sitting there the whole time, like, I thought this was going to be a complete shit show. But you brought it all together. So some people can multitask, some people can't. So I like that you do that.
Well, so one of the things is, because you said you're very structured and you can do those things. This is people who have not been able to accomplish a lot of goals up to this point, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not, if they come to me and they've never had a life coach and they're not structured and they can't balance life and whatever it is that they're working on, I'm not going to be like, yes, let's do 6 goals at a time. Someone like you who's structured, yeah, we could possibly do it, right?
Mhm.
So each individual is going to be tailored differently. It's not a one size fits all at all.
I
I
understand.
had a person who did paid for 3 months of coaching. First session, he did nothing. Second session, he did nothing. Third session, I stopped and said, hey, let's pause when you're ready to do the work. He's like, nope, I'm ready. Fourth session, he did nothing. Fifth session, sixth session, nothing. Paid for it, did absolutely no work. Um, Waste of my time, waste of his time and his money, right? Came back a year later, wanted to sign up again. Now I have to ask you, what was different this time than the last time?
Yeah.
He did the 3-month session, completed 2 of his goals ahead of time, and worked on that third one. He wasn't ready. Mindset change.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. So when somebody reaches out to you, should it be somebody who is like myself, is like, listen, I got all these ideas, right? And I just need somebody to help me basically be a sounding board so I can like hone it on in and bring it on home. Or, and could it be somebody who's like, I want to do this with my life, but I don't know how to do it. Now, are you giving people goals to go after, or are you helping people bring structure to the stuff that they already have in their mind?
So I'll help you bring your structure, right? I've had a couple of people who said, I want to do this, this, this. I don't know how to get to the finish line. So we'll develop a plan to get you to the finish line. I've also had people come to me saying, I think I need self-love coaching because they didn't think they loved themselves. Through conversation, through those consultations, one of the things I do is it's called a wellness wheel that I have people go through, and it's 8 areas of life. I have them rate themselves. Anything a 7 or below are those areas that we need to concentrate on. If they have they have more than 3, we're going to pick which top 3 do we want to work on this time, right? Um, once they get the process on how to do something, some people have been able to do the other part of the wheel on their own. Some have came back and said, now let's work on this other part. But they think they're coming for one thing, might be something else, or I help identify what is it that you want.
Okay. All right. Now, are you international with it, or are you just for people in the US?
Speak it into existence.
Mhm.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Nah, it's gonna get there. It's gonna get there. And even with I was I was at a conference in Atlanta, and with AI, there's some good things and bad things with AI. But even with AI, you can create somebody that can speak a whole nother language for you. And you can type in the prompts and you could give the coaching, and you could be, coaching somebody that's speaking Hindi in India or, whatever. So we're going to speak it into existence. You're going to be an international wellness
Hey.
coach. So normally I don't like to date my shows, but I think that this is something that people can use, all into the future, right? And as we go into the new year, this is 2025, we're going into 2026. And people always have their resolutions. They're like, January 1, I'm gonna stop eating sweets. I'm gonna work out. January 1, I'm gonna leave that girl. I'm gonna leave that man. January 1, I'm cutting everybody off, or I'm gonna do better with my money. Everybody has these resolutions, and most of the people, they fall off within, like, I'll talk about me. They fall off within a couple of days, right? So I brought you on to talk about your business, but also talk about going into 2026, some tips for 2026. But you mentioned something, that I thought was very, very good before we started. You said, listen, before we go into the new year, we really need to assess how we ended this year.
Yes, absolutely.
So talk
Absolutely.
about that.
So think about your job, right? Most people have a job, 9 to 5, whatever it is, and you have to do a year-end performance review on how you did throughout the year. It's the same thing with your own personal life. You have to look at your life and let's review my life. What did I do? Just ask yourself some questions. I'm big into journaling, so I want people to look at a couple of questions. I have 5 that I brought for this podcast specifically, and write out the answers, right? So the first question is dealing about self-awareness, right? So what version of yourself keeps resurfacing no matter how hard you try to outgrow it?
I can't answer that on the show because that side will get me in trouble. But because I'm trying to keep the show PG,
I get it. I get it. I get
I'll
it. But
say,
that wasn't for you to answer specifically if you didn't want to. But that's one of the questions that you should ask yourself before you start thinking about going into 2026, because what happens is patterns repeat themselves. So if you did it in 2025, what is that thing that keeps you stuck
yeah,
of where you're currently at, where you can't move forward to 2026 successfully? So
thank
that's one
you.
question.
Thank you for letting me off the hook.
Yes,
All right, number
yes, yes.
2. What's number
Number
2?
2 is growth. What excuses are you tired of hearing from yourself? Because you said within what, 2-3 weeks in January, people are going to fall off whatever their goals were, right? They're going to be like, ooh, I'm going to the gym 5 days a week. Da, 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 da. You make an excuse. Ooh, it was cold. Ooh, I need to go do this. Oh, I need to do this. What are the excuses, right? So what excuse do you keep telling yourself? Because what you'll see is a pattern of the goals that you had in 2024, 2025, 2026. It's the pattern. So why aren't you getting it done each year? So
Okay.
what are you telling yourself?
Okay. Number 3.
The next one is about relationship. Who drains you? Who drains you?
Ooh.
And then here's the second part. And why do you allow it?
Listen,
Again, you don't have to answer. You don't want to
No, but
incriminate
listen,
yourself.
there's so many ways that you can approach that though, because you can say, who drains you financially? Uh, but I think the most important one is who drains you emotionally. And I know that for 2025, I had to really put up some strong boundaries financially because people were just hitting me up for money and going back to that person that you don't want to be. I was like, well, why am I such a sucker? Why am I such a nice person? I keep giving in. Most people just say no. I can't say no. So I was trying to be proactive about that. But then also, I was like, there's certain people that just my existence bothers them. And just because we have the same blood or just because we've been friends for so many years, I don't have to subject myself to that.
Yep.
And I have to say that it was just today that I was looking back on it and I said, you know what? I wasn't 100% successful, but I did much better. So I know I can do a little bit better on that and I'll be where I need to be going into 2026. So I like that. I like that. What's
So
number 4?
one of the things you said is, why can't I say no? I'm going to throw this in there. Your goals will come with no's. Hold on to that.
Okay.
Your
All
goals
right.
will come with no's. So the fourth one leads in great highway. Leading into the next one is financial. Do you spend money to heal, to impress, or to avoid?
I spend money to ball out and have fun. The
That's
problem
impress part of it.
the problem is that my budget can't keep up with that.
Exactly. There
Yeah.
goes again. Your goals will come with some no's. You got to say no sometimes. You're gonna have to say no. The fifth one, right? This is for me.
Hold on. Let's stop on that one though.
Okay.
I'm put this on your mind. You said there's 3 things: impress, heal,
Heal and avoid.
impress, heal, and avoid.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's any of those. I'm very much YOLO. And so I would think, you may want to add that because like for me, I'm just like, okay, you only live once, let's do it. So and I realized that eventually the budget gonna be like, yeah, you done lived. So now it's no more onces. You just saw 0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, right? Because
Mhm.
people will set a budget and not understand why they never have any money, right?
Yeah. Well, they're not honest with themselves. They're not tracking every dollar.
And that's why we have to do a review of where we're at currently before we can move forward. And the most important for me is the fifth one, and that's purpose. Are you intentionally or reactively living?
Explain.
Intentionally is making the plan to live, right? You talking about you only live once. Most people hear that and just be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna do whatever," right? Whenever, right? There's no planning, right? You people plan vacations. People plan when they're gonna go on a date. People plan. So, what part of your life are you not planning for purpose, or are you just reactive? What? Oh, this came in. Let me handle this. Oh, this. Let me do this. Right. So, look at your life. What is your purpose? What do you want? Which will tie into the 5 steps that you should focus on in 2026 or any new year.
So before we get to the 5 tips for 2026, I want to say that was awesome because I think that oftentimes we are stepping into the same traps that's preventing us from being successful in the way that we want to be. And that honesty, that accountability that we all need to hold ourselves to, once we confront that, whether we're able to do that on our own or whether we have, a wonderful life coach like you, I think that we're going to set ourselves up for a better existence. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
So let's go on to the number 1 tip for 2026. That rhymes. Number 1 tip for 2026.
All right. So that goes in where we just kind of left off, right? Mm-hmm. Intentional living versus reactive living. So that is shifting your reactive living to your values, the energy that you're putting out, and purpose to living intentionally. So actually think about why am I doing this?
Mhm.
What's happening here, right? Are you the person that just sits on the couch waiting for that phone to happen, or are you making plans to go out on your own? Are you waiting for somebody to invite you? Or are you like, you know what? There was this art museum I wanted to go to. I'm going to go, right? You're going to intentionally make that plan to go, or are you just going to sit back and wait for someone to invite you? And now you miss out, right? So people talk about they don't do things on their own. Ooh, I understand, right? I get it. I understand. But there has to come a time where you step out on faith and you just take that step. You know, that first one might be go to lunch by yourself. If you're bold, go to dinner on a Friday night, Saturday night by yourself. Don't sit at the bar, sit at the table, right? Do small things to get you to start doing things by yourself. You
Okay.
have to do it. Be intentional about your living. How does that look for you?
Okay. I like that. Number two.
Number two is prioritize. Prioritize your rest. Prioritize your boundaries. That's that can't say no, right? Prioritize your emotions. All of this is about living healthy, right? And so it's the overall part of your life of refining, because we hear it all the time, right? New year, new me, right? No, it's new year, becoming you, more refined, right? So you're going to be you. You're just going to refine who you are, because who you are at your core is not anything that you can change, right? So we want you to prioritize that rest, prioritize setting those boundaries, prioritize your emotions. If you come to me and your emotions are out of whack, I'm going to suggest a therapist, not me,
I understand.
right?
Yeah.
Once you go through therapy, now can you do therapy and life coaching at the same time? You can. You actually can, right? If you don't think you can and you just want to deal with the therapy part of it first, go ahead. You can do that. Come to me afterwards. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere.
Have you ever had anybody like be offended by you telling them, "Hey, listen, I don't think now is the right time. I think there's some things that you need to address, and I'm going to recommend that you find a therapist." Has that ever hurt somebody's feelings?
Not that they verbalized it to me or said it. Um, so I can't say that.
Okay.
I've
All right.
had a couple of people actually appreciate that I just didn't take their money
Yeah.
and try to forge through to the goal line. So I think people like honesty.
Yeah. I understand. Okay. What we
So
on?
this
We on number three?
number
Number
three,
three.
yep. So number three is also part of number two, where I talk about the health, but this is where you're actually doing that. I'm going to the gym, right? This is strength training, right? This is the foods that we eat. I need people to start looking at labels. If you start looking at the labels that we have on our food, you'll see bioengineered a lot of times. Stop buying the boxes, stop buying the cans, stop buying all that stuff. It's not good for us. And it's showing up in our health. Just in the last couple of weeks, I had one friend that just had a heart attack. Mid 50s, doing well. Another friend a year ago coded out twice. He's still here. Had a heart attack, right? So we have to start taking care of ourselves. It starts with the foods that we're eating, strength training. We're going to put some cardio in there. Please, for the love of God, get some rest. Start prioritizing that sleep. We need you to sleep at least a minimum of 6 hours. Please. And my ladies out there, men too, but ladies especially my ladies in 40 and over, get your hormones in balance. Please balance out those hormones. Please. I fought for years, fighting, trying to lose weight. Finally found a doctor who was like, your hormones are completely out of whack. I'm fighting the menopause weight, all this. And finally someone listened to me, and now my hormones are leveled out and I am starting to see the weight drop.
Congratulations.
I would have been, thank you. I would have just been hitting this wall, hitting the wall, hitting the wall, hitting the wall. If that means going to several different doctors, find one that will listen to you. So yes, so that's my health. And your health has to be a daily practice. It's not a one and done. It has to be daily. One of the things I tell people all the time is discipline plus consistency is your lifestyle.
Yeah. And two things, and I'm not a life coach, but it's my show, so I'm going to say it. Discipline actually makes things easier for you. And number two, for my sisters, if you are not comfortable speaking up to your health provider, if you feel that you are being dismissed or that your concerns aren't being taken seriously, I say if you have a male that you are comfortable with, take them with you. Sometimes people won't treat you a certain way if they feel like you have a man with you that will say, hold on, no, you're not going to do that. He may not even be, he may not even be that smart. You might be like, listen, you just come in here and keep your mouth shut, but I want you here. Take somebody with you. It might be even better if you got your homegirl who you know has your back and won't take no when it comes to you, take her with you, because she'll definitely hold them accountable and make sure that you get the level of care and treatment that you deserve. I just wanted to add that.
Well, here's the thing. I'm a health and wellness coach also into life, health and wellness. I can come with you to your doctor's appointments for that if that's what you need. I can what are your concerns? And then I can help break down, so we're asking the proper questions with your doctor. Or I can consult you and write them out, but you're going to have to be assertive. Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to, if you're not being heard, move on. Do not spend any more time.
Absolutely. Number four
is intentional relationships. We'll go back to the other one where I was talking about your relationships. We're going to focus on reciprocal relationships. We're going to focus on connections that are honest and growth centered. Some relationships you're going to have to let go, or you're going to have to reshuffle, right? We have people in our front row. We have people in our second row. We have people in the third row. We have some folks in the balcony. We're going to have to reshuffle some of those. You're going to have to move some from the first to the second, move some second to the first, or you're just going to have to let them go. You make that determination. We're doing reciprocal relationships in 2026. We're no longer just pouring and pouring and pouring and not getting anything back. I found myself in that situation where I was bankrupt with relationships of just pouring. That includes family. I'm not talking just romantic relationships, friendships, family ships, whatever it is. You got to let some people go, or you have to reshuffle them.
Okay. And number five,
we're going to have impact with purpose. How do you want to make a difference in your life? Through your work, through your service, through your community? What is your presence like? What are we doing? Right? So that's what we're going to focus on. What is that purpose? What drives you in the morning? What gets you up? What impact do you want to leave? When people see you, are you draining, or they're going to be like, oh man, I was just talking to that person. Man, they had me hyped. They had this, they did this. Do you want to be that person? What are we doing? Right? So think about how that person enters your life and how you could enter other people's life. Because we all want to move with purpose, and we all want to make an impact.
Yeah. I think that people would definitely take a lot from this show, and the tips that you gave them, if they really are honest with themselves and follow through, ask the questions and answer honestly. Because here's the thing. The person that you normally lie to the most is yourself, right?
Yes.
Person you lie to the most is usually yourself.
Yeah.
When you start being honest with yourself, and when I say honest, don't sit here and beat yourself up. Don't, put yourself down all the time. Because I used to fall into that trap. I was like, well, I'm just being honest. Nah, actually, you're being really bad to yourself. There's a level of being honest, and you say like, okay, I got to get my act together, versus just like being super self-critical, super hard on yourself. We don't want to go there, right? But I think, Tiffany gave us some wonderful, wonderful things to think about, and I really hope that everybody uses the advice that she just gave.
Yeah, to piggyback off of what you just said, think about the grace that you give other people. Extend that same grace upon yourself, right? So we can make our goals. If you start falling off, there is no problem with jumping back on, right? No problem. If you want to do it for the year, if you fell off in January, you still have 11 months to go. Don't beat yourself up because you didn't do what you said you were going to do in January. If you said, I'm going to start working out 5 days a week, but you haven't worked out any days in 2025, or maybe two, you can't go from 2 to 5. Like realistically, you can't, I don't want to say you can't. It's very hard to do it. So you have to build yourself back up. So if you're going from 2, give yourself, I'm going to do 3 to 4. Don't just skip steps. You can't skip steps. So yeah.
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 So listen, I'm proud of you, and I appreciate you coming on the show and giving us this free game. But tell people if they want to pay to get your services so they can level up and become more well. See what I did there? How can they find you? How can they book your services?
Yeah, so you can go to more to wellness. That's MOORETOWELLNESS.com. You can book a free consultation. On the website it says 20 minutes, but we normally go 30-35 minutes. And that determines if I'm a right fit for you and if you're a right fit for me. If that's the case, we will go ahead and move forward. You can also hit me on my Instagram and my TikTok, and that is Miss Tiff 1222, MSTIFF 1222.
Okay. All right. Make sure y'all check her out. She gave us some good advice, and we're gonna go into 2026 making things happen. So appreciate you coming on the show. Make sure y'all go to our YouTube, click that bell icon so you can be notified. Conversate with us. Remember, Conversate stands for communicate, converse, and relate. I gotta keep telling that because we got some educated Negroes that have a problem with conversate. But normally I would say, you know what, I don't give a damn, but I need y'all to listen.
Absolutely. That my mom would be one of them educated Negroes that would be like, that's not a word.
Right. We get mom over it though. So anyway, we'll holler at y'all next time. Peace.
Bye-bye.